Hey everybody! Well, today we're going to take a look at these really cool 3D printed Dum Dum bullets. These are the little Dum Dums that we saw in the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I absolutely love that movie. In fact, when it first came out, I think I went and saw that thing like 7 times because the movie was just so awesome. It was a neat mixture of animation and live action and really, really well done. I mean, it wasn't the first time a movie was done that way, but it was, I don't know, just something about that movie that was really special. Thankfully, they didn't make a sequel to it or try to ruin it or try to reboot it or whatever. Hopefully, they'll let that movie stand on its own because it really was a marvel of movie magic. Now, there's a scene in the movie where you can see these guys. Eddie Valiant shoots this cartoon gun, and inside are these guys. They're called, well, they're called the Dum Dums, I guess is what they're called. But they have different characters right here, and as you can see, they all have their own kind of look and personality, and these look really good. These look really good. Now, I found these from a seller on eBay, and you can find several different people selling these. I think there's people on Etsy as well, but you can see how they look. They look so good. Really well done. And the only thing I'm not sure about is why they have holes in them. You can see these little holes, and all of them have that. So I'm going to have to go in and probably fill those. It's probably maybe something to do with the way they were printed or something. And then they had a little bit of residue left over, mainly coming out of those holes where it looked like maybe it was leftover resin that hadn't hardened. So I cleaned them up. I put them in some soapy dishwater and cleaned them up. And then I stuck them under some UV lights for a few minutes each so that they could kind of get any kind of resin that was left over to harden on there. But these look really good. Now, there's very little cleanup to do on these. I think for the most part, here's what the back looks like. Just a little bit of sanding here and there, which I think I'll be doing. On the bottom, this one here, his base wasn't glued, or it wasn't stuck on all the way. I had to glue it. It was almost like it was coming off. Now on the bottom here is a little bit of cleanup here. There you can see where the supports were attached on there. That one's not too bad. Let me see how this one looks. Now you can see how the supports were attached. So I'll just be sanding those off. So I'm going to have to go in and find some pictures of these guys and see what color they are. They're going to have cartoony colors, you know. It's like instead of silver for the bullet part, I'm guessing they're more like gray. And there's a lot of gray for their hats, and then their bullet like belts right here. I love this guy. Look how you can barely see his face because it's behind that big bandana. That's so cool. There's that one. Here's this guy. Look at that face. Absolutely love it. God, they look so good. Here's this one here. This was the first one that Eddie shot out of the gun. He smashes the liquor bottle that Eddie was drinking out of. Very nice, nicely done on the faces. Here's this guy here. Look at that. Oh, that's so good. These are going to be a lot of fun to paint. And I'm just going to hand paint them all because they're too small to really do any kind of spray painting. I think I'll put a couple of layers of primer on them just to make sure the paint, you know, sticks on there pretty good. Here's this guy. Looks like he's from the Civil War days. Really, really cool. I love them. So love that movie. Haven't seen it in a while. I just bought the Blu-ray, so I'm going to rewatch the movie. All right, so let me get these guys cleaned up a little bit, put some primer on them, and then I'm going to start painting them as soon as I figure out what all the colors are going to be. Okay, so I went ahead and cleaned them up. Wasn't too much cleanup on them. They do have some of these 3D print lines, but they're so embedded in there, there's not really much I can do about it. It does look a little rough under here. I think once you get that painted, it's not going to be seen. I think most of their hats are either white or like a brown color. And I think most of them have yellow on them, from what I can tell. Like their whole bodies are yellow. From there, you got to paint all the other details on them. They look really cool. I really like these. I filled in the holes that were all over them. I'm not sure why those holes were in there. I really like that guy. I'm guessing they're just part of maybe the way that it was printed, or maybe it's just part of the file. I'm assuming you can get the files for these probably on what is it? Oh, I can't remember the name of that website that has a lot of these 3D printed things with. So you can kind of see the lines in there. It's all right though. I'm not really too concerned about it. I mean, these guys aren't like, you know, like a high end model or anything like that. But all right, so I got the holes filled, got them primed, and now I can start working on painting them. All right, so now I've been working on these guys for a little while. So I was kind of surprised to see that they're mostly yellow. Their bodies are yellow, their eyes are yellow, and their teeth are yellow. So I went ahead and started putting all of that on. Now I used this Tamiya, what is this? X8 Lemon Yellow. And I love Tamiya paints. They usually go on pretty well, but for some reason this yellow had a particularly hard time, like coating this. This is about 7 coats of yellow on here. It just, I don't know, it just wasn't going on, like thick enough or whatever. I mean, you can still see a little bit of gray showing through that yellow, but I'm done with this. I've been putting so much yellow on here, I'm just kind of done with it. But so it does look yet more like a lighter color than it does in person. On camera here, it looks lighter, but in person, it's kind of like more of a darker orange or yellow. I mean, so I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. But anyway, at least I got all of that done. You can see that I'm not painting the bottoms because I think I'm going to mount these guys onto like a board or something. So from here now, I can start painting everything else. There's not much on their coloring. I think there's just kind of like some grays. Their scarves and like the bullet thing here. It's hard for me to tell exactly what it is. I think I'm just going to go for orange. This is orange. It's just plain orange. X6 by Tamiya. I think that's what I'm going to go for. So, the problem with that scene in the movie is that it's at night, and so you don't really get the full, like brightness of color on them, and you only get to see the Indian. This one here, the Indian bullet, he's one that smashes the whiskey bottle, and then there's 3 others. I think it might be these 3. I'm not sure. In a close-up, and then the other 2 you don't really see except for when they're in that box. So it's kind of hard to tell the exact colors of them, and and also because the animators probably wanted to stick with some basic colors and not make them too crazy, because then that's just that much more painting that they have to do on the cells. I'm assuming that's the way they did it back then. That was 1988, I think, is when that movie came out. All right, well, anyway, I'm really enjoying these characters. I think they're great, so I'll start working on the other colors for the rest of them. Okay, here they are all finished. Oh boy, look at these little guys. They're so cool. This was a lot of fun to paint them. It was a lot of fun to paint them. As I mentioned, the yellow was kind of hard for me to get on there. I'm not really sure why. And the orange, too. It was not covering very well. I don't know if it's just because it's really smooth or what. I've never usually had that problem with Tamiya paints. So many, many layers of yellow and orange on here. But as you can see, they turned out really good. And I just love the way these guys look. They are so cool. I didn't even know they made a little model of these. I think I saw somebody was selling the gun and the bullets as like a little replica or type of thing. It comes in a box and everything. But let's start with this guy here. So first of all, let me get some better light on him so we can kind of see him a little bit better. Okay, so here you can see his face. Look at that face. That is so cool. I love how he's chomping down on that cigar. He's got like a little gold tooth. I was going to paint that gold, but since it's orange in the movie, I kind of stuck with that. I did take some artistic license with things like the belt buckle. That's actually yellow in the movie, but I wanted it to kind of stand out a little bit because I'm pretty sure the animator stuck with mostly yellow and orange because it's just easier for them to paint the cells. I'm assuming they used cells for that because it was in 1988, but you can see how he looks. Very cool looking. He's got the little tie back here, the hat. And they all have varying shades of gray on their face. There's 2 each that have the same shades of like maybe, these two, and these 2. I just wanted to kind of vary it up a little bit. I was going to make their faces silver since they're supposed to be bullets, but they're gray in the movie, so it's best to kind of just stick with what they had here. I love the expression on this guy's face. Their eyes are so cool. I love the way they look. He's got that headband on, I like the way his hair is done right there, and the design on here. You can see his hat. In the movie, I couldn't quite tell. It looked like it was kind of like a dark blue or hat or something. I really couldn't tell. I went with this kind of greenish gray on here. As I said, most of the scenes were at night, so it was kind of hard to get the exact colors on all of these guys. Then we got this one here. Now, this guy is probably my favorite because I love how you never really get to see his face, and he's just kind of got that look, and he's got that bandana hiding his face the whole time. Now, I did paint the bullets silver because in the movie it's orange, and it just as you know, for the cartoon, it's fine that everything's orange on there, but because they have the lines and stuff. But as a 3D printed model, I felt like I needed to make those silver just to make them stand out and just to make them look a little better. So even though it's not accurate to the movie, I just think it looks a little bit better. Boy, it was a pain to paint each of these little bullets. Let me tell you, you know, and you got the orange in between there. That's his hat. His hat's got that nice little pattern on there, but very cool. I didn't paint the bottom. Like I said, I'm going to mount these guys to some kind of platform so I don't have to have them loose. Here's this guy. I'm guessing he's supposed to be like a Civil War guy or something. You know, in the movie, it looks like he's got like a longer, pointier nose, but on this, they have it kind of rounded. I'm guessing that's supposed to be his nose. I'm not really sure what's going on. Maybe not. Maybe that's like a wad of chew in his mouth. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I chose like this bluish color for his hair and his beard. And gosh, I love their eyes. They're so neat. I went ahead and made that buckle silver as well, even though it's yellow in the movie. This guy here, I just love this guy. Look at that. That expression is great. He kind of reminds me of Yosemite Sam. I love how his eyebrows are kind of molded into the hat. Very cool. You know, it's very tricky painting some of this stuff. You know, it's like really tiny stuff going on there. I had to repaint things and kind of go back over because I accidentally would bleed the paint over. It was just, you know, hard to get inside these little nooks and crannies down inside here. You can see he looks really good. There's his hat. Oh man, I love that expression. That is fantastic. And then we have this little guy here. He's another good one. He looks all happy. He's another one that had a gold tooth on there. Love the facial expression, his little buttons on the front. I went ahead and painted his buckle and bullets or cartridges or whatever you call those silver as well, just to make them stand out a little bit better. But this is so cool. I really, really love these. They were a lot of fun to put together or paint. And thankfully, there wasn't much cleanup on them either. So, as I mentioned, these were on eBay. I don't remember the name of the seller. I'm sure you can find several people that are offering these for sale. And also, Thingiverse, as I mentioned, Thingiverse has probably some files that these where you can find these and print them. You might even be able to print them bigger if you want to. If you haven't seen that movie, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you really got to treat yourself and see it. It is a fantastic movie. It was very. It was just so well done. It has a great storyline. Bob Haskins is the one who plays Eddie Valiant. What a challenge for him as an actor because he had to act with cartoons, you know, things that aren't there. And so he's trying to figure out where their eyes are, where their eye line is, so that he's looking at things properly. He's probably spent a good portion of that movie acting with nothing there. Sometimes they had these cool mechanisms, like when the weasels were there, and he's like pointing the gun at Eddie. You can, if you look closely at his pant leg when he's got his hands in the sink because he's trying to hide Roger Rabbit in the sink. You can see the shadow of the mechanism that makes the gun go up and down. It's really neat. So they did a lot of cool stuff to make that work. The behind the scenes is very interesting. I'm rewatching it now with the commentary, but you really need to treat yourself and see that movie because it's great. Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown from Back to the Future, he plays Judge Doom, and I got to tell you, that is one creepy character in that movie. He is really creepy in that movie. And he does such a great job playing that role. I mean, he was just so good at playing that Judge Doom character. But man, what a creepy thing! And then there's a really sad scene where Judge Doom puts this little animated cartoon shoe in this stuff he calls a dip. It's like turpentine and some other stuff in it, and it can kill a tune, as these guys are called. And it's the only way to kill him, I guess. But he actually kills this little slipper, this shoe, and it's just a sad scene. I always hated that scene in the movie, but so prepare yourself if you haven't seen that part. But it's such a great movie, so yeah, I highly recommend it. All right, well, that's it for these little guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to paint them and find some, go ahead and do that and check out the movie. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I very much appreciate it. I will see you on the next video. Hit the like and subscribe if you'd like this kind of stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. So thank you again, and have a good one.